tell you about it. Yo, and she came
Welcome
with
back
the
to
same
TYT. As you guys see, we had a couple technical issues with Skype, but we got that figured out now, and thank you so much for your patience. So, Cenk, we were just talking about Representative Shimkus and how he thinks that global warming is not a problem because the Bible says that it's not going to happen. And you were finishing your thoughts on that.
All right, let me just say two quick things. First, on the Skype. Guys, I know some of you are frustrated members and stuff. Believe me, we're busting our ass over here. We've been trying to get this stuff to work in New York for 3 days straight here. And I come all the way from Midtown, all the way to the end of Manhattan every single day, carrying the laptop and all the equipment. So believe me, we're trying, man. We're trying our best for you guys. And things are going to, look, the beginning's always rough, but we're going to smooth it out. Things will get better soon, okay? Hang in there with us. Now, on Shimkus, look, you know how I feel. And I was in the middle of the rant, and, you know, luckily, Shimkus is not a hypocrite on this, because once his son, I heard, mouthed off to him, and Shimkus stoned him to death. Now, of course he did, right? Did he? Of course. That's also the literal word of God according to Shimkus. Guy's a fucking idiot. I mean, look, I'm going to go Wes Clark here. I mean, it's not the literal word of God. It is impossible to believe that. Impossible. No one actually believes that. Even if you think you do, no, you don't. I can open up to any random page in the Bible and show you how you don't listen to that at all. So, and for the thing, finally, look, Shimkus is a proven moron, right? But what's frustrating is guys like Chris Christie, who's the Republican governor of New Jersey. Now he's questioning whether global warming is man-made. Fuck you, Christie. You know it's man-made, and you're just selling out just to be like, oh, okay, my party's full of morons. So I'm going to pretend to be a moron. And that makes it 10 times more despicable if you ask me. At least Shimkus was born an idiot.
Right. All right. Singer CeeLo was on Colbert's show yesterday, and I love it because he wanted to perform his latest new hit song, but his latest new hit song is literally titled Fuck You. And in the song, he says fuck you several times. And Colbert told him, look, you can perform your song if you promise to replace, fuck you with Fox News. So CeeLo did that, and on the spot, he actually changed a couple lines from his song. And I'm going to sing it to you guys, because I originally wanted to show you the video, but we can't because it's the Colbert Report. So are you guys ready for my singing? Cenk, how excited are you?
Well, this is instantly my favorite part of the day. I can't wait. Go for it.
All right.
Have at it. MC Casper.
Hell yeah. So he goes on the Colbert Report. He's moving and grooving. And then he sings a song. And this is what he says. I saw you driving round town with the girl I love on Fox News. Didn't see one politician that wasn't corrupt on Fox News. And then the rest of it was, and I got the blues. The poorer get poorer and the richer get richer. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? I'm having pains in my chest because I'm so stressed from Fox News.
I love the lyrics. That rendition, Casper,
was horrible. No, I don't know how to sing, but I wanted you guys to get an idea of the tune. I mean, am I not a great news reporter?
No, you are. You suffer for your art. You suffer for your news, and you put that out there. And I got to tell you, it was a mistake.
We're having fun, though. We're having fun.
Oh, absolutely. TYT style.
So, yeah.
The only thing worse would have been me singing.
Really? I think that's arguable. I have the worst voice on the planet. And I think I displayed that voice on today's show. All right.
You're not going to get that much of an argument from me.
All right. Actually last week, we were talking about how Bush said that the lowest point in his presidency was when Kanye West called him racist. Well, Kanye West has decided to go on the Today Show and apologize for calling Bush racist. So we actually have a snippet of that interview on the Today Show. Kanye speaking to Matt Lauer. And then we also have George Bush's response to it. So let's go to the video and we'll discuss it later.
Perhaps surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, one of the subjects that's gotten the most attention in the last couple of days is what you write about Kanye West and what he said about you after Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
George Bush doesn't care about black people. He clearly has heard the furor over that, and he has read the headlines. He stopped by to see me yesterday.
Oh, really?
And I want to play you a small portion of what he said because he seems to have changed his tone rather dramatically.
I would tell George Bush, in my moment of frustration, I didn't have the grounds to call him a racist. But I believe that in a situation of high emotion like that, we as human beings don't always choose the right words. And that's why I'm here.
He seems to have regret. What's your reaction to that?
I appreciate that. It wasn't just Kanye West who was talking like that during Katrina. I cited him as an example. I cited others as an example as well. And, I appreciate that.
But you called his comment a low point. And one of the things you and I have spoken about a lot over our conversations over these past couple of weeks is your faith. Does your faith allow you to forgive Kanye West?
Oh, absolutely. Of course it does. And I didn't, I'm not a hater. I didn't hate Kanye West, but I was talking about an environment in which people were willing to say things that hurt. And nobody wants to be called a racist if in your heart you believe in equality of race.
All right, so that was Kanye's apology and George Bush's reaction. Look,
why?
Go ahead.
I just got to jump in here, man. Why are we discussing whether George Bush forgives Kanye? What?
Right.
Over 1,800 people died in Katrina because George Bush was given a briefing saying it's coming and it's going to be disastrous, and he didn't do a damn thing. And now we're apologizing to him? This country is upside down, man. And I don't know why Kanye is apologizing. And if he is, well, he doesn't speak for us. Bush should be the one apologizing, and not to Kanye, but to the people who died during Hurricane Katrina. And if he did apologize, my faith doesn't accept his apology.
Yeah.
Just talking about his forgiveness, please.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And I'm really wondering what was going through Kanye West's mind, because I think in his mind is, okay, I have this terrible image. People think I'm a terrible person. And I want to clean that image up by going on the Today Show and apologizing to George Bush, even though I don't really know what I'm apologizing for. I mean, it's crazy. And look, for Kanye West, I really, truly think that this was a PR move to clean up his image, even though it went completely wrong. Like, now we're looking at Kanye and thinking, what the hell are you doing? Why are you apologizing to this guy, right? But, after he did the interview, he went on Twitter and he started complaining about the interview and complaining about the way Matt Lauer treated him, okay? And he said that, he went on there because he wanted to basically, apologize, obviously, and show people that he was very emotional during the time of Katrina, and he said things that he didn't mean because of his emotions. And then he complained about how Matt Lauer, or the producers of the Today Show, put up B-roll of him having like a hissy fit at the MTV Music Awards and, throwing one of his temper tantrums. And he was angry about that, and he went on Twitter and he wrote, he tried to force my answers. It was very brutal, and I came there with only positive intent. I don't mess with Matt Lauer or the Today Show, and that's a very nice way for me to put it. While I was trying to give my interview, they started playing the MTV Under Me with audio. I went up there to express how I am empathetic to Bush because I labeled him as a racist, and years later, I got labeled as a racist. So that was his explanation.
Yeah, look, I don't understand Kanye West. There's a small chance that he's not that bright. First of all, half those tweets make no sense. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. But then put that aside for a second. And I think what bothered me about Kanye's tweets, because I was really annoyed by them, right? One, I guess I was annoyed because he'd apologized to Bush when he had. I don't think it's his job. I don't think he's in a position to apologize to Bush. I mean, who elected you to apologize to Bush? Anyway, I know it's because of the comments he made, etc. But the other part that annoyed me was this sense of privilege, like that if he goes on the Today Show, no one should ever ask him a tough question. They should kiss his ass. He's Kanye West. I'm sure the questions Matt Lauer asked, I didn't watch the whole interview, but I'm sure they were probably incredibly soft to begin with. If he asked them about the VMAs, that's the most logical question in the world. If Kanye doesn't want to answer that question, all right, piss off. Don't do any more interviews.
Right. But we all know that entertainers have egos. They don't want to be asked the difficult questions. You talk about access on a regular basis. And, you know, in order for the Matt Lauers of the world to have access to the Kanye West of the world, they have to softball it as much as possible. In other words, not show footage of Kanye West throwing a temper tantrum at the MTV Music Awards.
Yeah, no, but that's why people can't stand the media anymore, because they don't believe them, because all they do is go crawl up the ass of these people. So, by the way, Dylan Radigan and I were talking about this today. He's got a new podcast up. You want a raw dose of truth, go over there. You know, Dylan brings it on TV when he's not encumbered by any of the rules. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And the only reason I bring it up here, I was on it today, and you know, we talked about access. That's the killer, man. There's 100 different factors and 3 or 4 that are really important, but the number one problem is access. It makes the whole media go soft and not ask any hard questions. And when it comes to Kanye, who gives a shit? But when it comes to politicians, it matters a tremendous amount.
Right. JR wants to say something.
The thing is, and this, of course, we're guessing again about Kanye. I think he's one of those guys who forgets he's famous. And then every time he forgets he's famous, he's like, oh, I said that to everyone, didn't I? And then he goes on and does something like the Today Show and forgets that he did that other thing that was infamous now. And he's like, man, they keep bringing up this stuff that I forgot about. I thought I was just kind of in my house talking to my friends. How'd they get this footage? I think he's a little crazy, but he's ridiculously sensitive.
Right.
So he's thinking, man, how could they keep making me look so bad. They keep pointing out things that I did that was kind of ridiculous and off the wall and just like spontaneous. I'm just trying to be me. He doesn't realize that he's a celebrity.
Right.
And then he realizes he's a celebrity. He's like, oh, everybody knows me. It's like he likes to take it when it's good, but then when it's bad, because there's downsides, of course. And when you get ridiculed and criticism, he's really sensitive to it, to the point where he like shuts down. He's like, they said something bad about me.
Oh, totally.
He can't take it.
He's really sensitive to it. And like I said, this whole Today Show thing was a way to clean up, you know, his image in his mind. It was a way to go on there and show people that he's insensitive and he's apologetic and he didn't mean to hurt Bush's feelings. It's crazy. Go ahead.
No, one last thing on this. He's like a kid, you know. In fact, he's a really young kid. He's like 3 years old. You know, if you say any little thing, he's like, ah! And then you know how 3-year-olds can't remember what happened, right? So they forget their entire existence until they get to the age of 5 or whatever. That's how Kanye is. I mean, these are elementary things. To like, what it never occurred to you that they might ask about the VMAs when you go to do an interview. I mean, I don't know. He's got some. I'm getting too harsh. But I was going to say he's got some retardation issues, and what I mean by that is not that he's mentally retarded, but that his growth apparently, I feel like, is maybe a little retarded. And maybe it's because of maybe it's not because he's dumb. Maybe it's the celebrity bubble where everybody is like pampering him 24/7. And when you prick that bubble a little bit and somebody says something bad about him, he's like, oh, and it shocks his world. Like he's never heard anything bad about himself before because he's got all these sycophants running around him. That could be it. But either way, it's freaking weird.
Yeah, can I just give you a quick example? This is a story that we didn't do earlier this week, but it had to do with Kanye West on a Delta flight. And, you know, in the middle of the flight, he's sitting in first class. In the middle of the flight, he's like, you know what? I'm going to get up and I'm going to rap for everyone, right? And, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, for someone who's 24, I would find that kind of cool. I'd be like, oh, that's Kanye West. He's rapping. But for most of the travelers who are older, they're going to be like, who's this guy? Can you tell him to sit down? But in Kanye West's mind, he's like, I'm a celebrity. I'm famous. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to rap and every single person is going to love it and it's going to be great, right? The world is my stage. Actually, we have the video now. Let's look at it real quick.
What I heard, she got a baby by Buster. She said her best friend used to mess with Usher. I don't care what none of y'all say, I still love her. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, yeah, but she ain't messing with no broke. Okay, that's it. Thank you, God bless you, good night.
Okay, so it sounds like everyone enjoyed it, but you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of treatment that he's used to. So as soon as he gets a little bit of criticism, he's not having it. It hurts.
No, he's still a 3-year-old. That was just a good day for the 3-year-old. Like, he went and did something cute, and everybody was like, "Oh, good job, Johnny," you know. And he was like, "See, that worked." And look, I don't mind it. I mean, if I was on the plane, I'd think that was pretty cool. But like, I'm not sure he gets that. Some people might be like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Right, exactly. That's what was going through my mind. Like, can you imagine like the 65-year-olds on the plane thinking like, who is this guy? Like, get this guy off the plane. You know what I mean? Like, my parents.
Is he Muslim? He sounds like he's dangerous.
My parents would be mortified. They'd be like, is this guy going to do something? Like, why is he up here with a microphone? Anyway, JR, did you have something to say? No? All right, let's move on. We got to talk about priests and porn. How could we not? That's standard TYT procedure.
Totally.
All right, so Reverend Keith LeBlanc, he is a priest from Massachusetts. He was recently arrested for allegedly stealing $83,000 from his parish. And he used a large chunk of that money for pornography, both on pay-per-view adult movies and also on online porn. Okay, in fact, to be specific, he had a credit card, a very particular credit card that he used for porn purchases. That card had a balance of $25,000.
Okay.
Wow.
Look, you got to hand it to this guy, man. I love this guy. This guy's a world record breaker porn viewer. I mean, Guinness has got to look into this fella. I mean, even if it's just the $25,000 on that one credit card, Jesus, Lord mercy, how much porn can you watch? I think even if I tried, I couldn't watch $25,000 worth of porn.
Yeah, and then he also bought about $4,000 worth of pay-per-view movies. So,
jeez, man, you got to be buying how many movies a day to get to $4,000?
I don't know. It's crazy. And look, we got to give him maybe a tiny little bit of credit. All of these porn charges were between 2004 to 2010. So, 6 years to watch a considerable amount of porn.
And it was the whole $83,000 spent on porn?
No, not the whole $83,000. About $50,000 of the amount consisted of funds that he used on porn for sure. But it doesn't specify the exact amount. It just says that most of it, a large chunk of it, was used on porn. And then there was another chunk of it that was used for other personal reasons, such as rent, credit card payments. But of course, on his credit card, he charged porn, so that's considered porn. And
I love this guy. He's got two expenses: rent and porn. This guy's got to be the sorest man in America, man. Give it a rest, dude. I know it was over 6 years, but the little fella needs some rest. Jesus Lord.
But can I add another insanely amazing part of this story? So you would think that he would be a very established priest before he tries to bust these moves, right? So what he did is he actually did not wait until he was an established priest. He started stealing money from the parish on day one. And get a load of this. Since he's a priest, he's living in a special place that is given to him by the church, right? He still pays for it, but it's, I'm sure, low-cost housing or something like that. And it's called the St. John's Rectory. And that was where he was ordering the pay-per-view porn. So he's like doing it in the church's house.
Yeah. No, this guy's awesome. And the minute he gets in, he's like, oh, thank God I'm a priest. Now I could steal porn.
Amazing.
Man, I tell you, the balls on some guy. Well, maybe that was his problem. Maybe we were too filled up. He had to address that issue.
Jeez.
By the way, but seriously, why not go into another profession? I mean, if you know you're some massive porn addict, why become a priest? Why not become an accountant? I mean, something else. I don't know.
Do you think that for people who were raised in a religious household, maybe they feel so much guilt and they feel like a good way to compensate for that is to become a priest or to become a very committed member of the church? You see what I'm saying? So I don't know, maybe that's his way of coping with it. It's like, oh, I'm addicted to porn, but maybe it'll balance out if I become a priest.
Dr. Casper, I agree with your prognosis and diagnosis. No, I mean, damn it, Jim, I'm not a psychologist. I'm a talk show host. But is that possible? I'm sure it's possible. And believe me, I think the priests who are sworn to, celibacy, I would be shocked if nearly all of them weren't ripped up about it every single day, like, oh, I shouldn't, oh no, what am I doing? God save me, Jesus, please, why have you forsaken me?
Right. Well, here's the good thing, okay? There was a new study done by the Italian Society of Sexual Medicine, and they found that sexual activity for men is very, very good for their cardiovascular health. So this priest has a good, strong beating heart, according to these researchers in Italy.
Yeah, he's got a couple of beating body parts.
Ay, ay, ay.
By the way, I saw that study. So does that only mean sex? Or if this guy's going to work on himself every day, does that count?
I think masturbation counts. So this is why. When a man has sex, it's good for him because it releases testosterone, right? And this testosterone leads to less depression, and then less depression leads to better cardiovascular performance. And then that also means an improved metabolism. Okay, so it's all a domino effect, right? And that release of testosterone doesn't necessarily have to be with sex with one woman. It could be having sex with yourself. The only time that this study does not hold water is when a man has sex with another woman while he's married, because the stress of having that relationship will, have negative effects on his health.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm sure women all over the world are thinking,
right.
If you cheat on him, it winds up hurting your health, and you might literally die earlier.
Right.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, too bad. Sorry.
But I'll tell you, one of the great things about not cheating is peace of mind. Like when I had girlfriends that I cheated on, it was such a hassle. It was so hard. You had to come up with this line, that line. You had to juggle that girl and this girl. What a total pain in the ass.
Right. Jim.
Whereas,
I'm sure you had plenty of opportunities to cheat on your girlfriends.
What? Why am I under the bus all of a sudden? What the hell are you talking about?
I'm not saying anything. I mean, Steve-O told me about your high school experience and, how wholesome you guys were as a group of friends playing ping pong in the basement.
Okay, first of all, don't listen to Steve-O too much. Second of all, that's entirely accurate, and I've said that before too. But I eventually, I did get warmed up and do a bunch of things I should have done and a bunch of things I shouldn't have done. But now that I'm past that, it's great peace of mind.
All right, Cenk. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have some political news for you guys, and it will be awesome. So we'll be back on the Young Turks.
All right, back on the Young Turks. Just two small notes on things that we've been discussing in this hour. One, I just want to go back to the Social Security Commission. The Deficit Commission for one more second. I think the ball's on these guys, right? Because if they just did across-the-board cuts and they cut Social Security and Medicare, I would find it wholly unjustifiable because there's a million better ways to raise the money, and you don't have to do it off of the backs of the average American, et cetera. So you know how I feel about that, and I feel very strong. But not only did they not do that, part of the package is to cut corporate taxes. I mean, we're talking about adding insult to injury. So they're going to, not only are they cutting what you're getting, for every American making over $25,000, your Social Security would be cut, right? But for the corporations, they get another tax break, not a tax increase to raise revenue. Because remember, it's supposed to be a debt commission because we have this huge debt problem. But they're going to put us into bigger debt by giving the corporations a bigger tax cut. Oh, come on, man. Oh, come on. That's beyond mental. But to them, it's business as usual. It's Washington. Of course. What do you mean? We reallocate money. We do redistribution of wealth from the middle class to the rich. What are you complaining about? That's what we've been doing for at least the last 30 years. That's probably what they're thinking inside their bubble. All right, and on the health care law and the Republicans' attacks, etc., there's a very long story. I don't want to get too much into the details. Let me just tell you this. They're coming. They're going to come after the health care law, as my friend Phil Davison would say, double-barreled, guns loaded. They're going to try to find 18 different ways to defund it. And when it gets into the regulations, that's where ICE is going to come in and do more investigations. We need to do investigations on the health care bill and how it's going to get implemented. And they're going to, within those investigations, my guess is they're going to find all the different ways that it should not be implemented. For example, there's one aspect of it is where we try to figure out how to save more money from Medicare. The Republicans are going to do an investigation on that. They're going to pretend that they're looking out for the elderly, and the reality is they want to save that program that partly privatized Medicare so that companies became the middlemen. You got the same exact service, but they made money off the top. Of course, those companies love those programs and basically don't have to do anything. They get money for nothing, right? So what are the Republicans going to do? They're going to try to defend them. But you're crazy if you're a Republican. Crazy. I'm amazed by it. Well, I shouldn't be amazed that people don't pay that much attention. How many people know that what's going to happen with Medicare Advantage? Very, very little. But part of the reason they don't know is, one, the media didn't tell them, and two, it's because there's supposed to be an opposition party called the Democrats. Except they suck. They suck. So they haven't told people either. Scared of their own shadow. All right, on to other things. George W. Bush was on the Rush Limbaugh program. This ought to be good. Let's watch.
On the issue of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, I saw a problem and went to Congress and said, look, this is a group of, this is an enterprises that have got an implicit government guarantee, and they're taking risky stances. And therefore, we ought to regulate them. If they've got a government implicit guarantee, there ought to be some sense of regulation to make sure they don't misuse that guarantee. And I make it clear in the book what happened, and that is that powerful forces in Congress resisted that reform. If those reforms had taken place in 2003, it's hard to predict whether or not this crisis would have occurred. But I'm comfortable and telling the reader, and comfortable that history will judge, that we try to do something about it.
Well, you talk about the people that got us into trouble. Some people think it wasn't Wall Street by themselves. Some people think it was the Democrat Party. You talk about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the whole subprime mortgage mess. I mean, that was a brainchild of Democrats.
Yeah, that's right.
But this is we bailed the Democrats out of a problem too, and they continue to this day to blame you and the Republicans for it.
I'm honestly repulsed by these guys. They're a lie factory. So it wasn't Bush's fault that we had the economic crash on Bush's watch, and he didn't have the 9/11 excuse this time, which is, Val G. Willikers, I only had 9 months in office or so. No, this was at the end of your term, at the end of 7-8 years of damage that you did to this country. But the way that Rush Limbaugh and George W. Bush retell the story, it was the Democrats' fault, and George Bush, in his great heroic effort, tried to stop the Democrats by reforming Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But the damn Democrats didn't listen, and that's why the poor guys on Wall Street crashed. It was all the Democrats' fault. And the idiot ditto heads that listen to Rush Limbaugh will probably believe that. It is nowhere related to the truth. We've told you how the crash happened 100 different times. You can read any book you like on it almost. And every one of them tells you exactly how the bankers manipulated the system for speculative betting and didn't have a damn thing to do with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. That was a tiny percentage of it. And all they did was use those Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac as piggy banks anyway. They were part of the corrupt system. And the people who made who had Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they made millions upon millions of dollars too. The executives did. It was all part of the broken system shepherded by George W. Bush, but not if you listen to the Rush Limbaugh program. According to them, it was the Democrats' fault. We got to fight against these lies every single day, and they got a machine over there. With Rush Limbaugh and Fox News, they make more lies, new lies, quicker than we can keep up with it. All right. Now, speaking of lies, get a load of Michelle Bachmann with Bill O'Reilly. Clip number 8.
So, Congressman, woman, why do you think the left is so invested in this issue? I mean, look, Governor Rendell's a stand-up guy, he's a smart guy, but his argument was theoretical, and they're all theoretical. And when you get down to it, we know what happened. And Bush is right. Bush did the right thing. All right, he protected us. He had to dunk these 3 guys, and he did. And he got information, and we captured a whole bunch of really bad people from it. Could he got it another way? Maybe. Okay, but he had guys sitting there. He had psychiatrists sitting there. He had medical doctors sitting there. So to me, I would have done the same thing. But to hear the left, this is the worst thing the United States has ever done. We're a terrible country for doing it. Why? Why are they doing this?
Well, it almost seems as though they need to come up with some sort of a case to defend the people who are making this action, the radical terrorists. And here, take a look at the terrorists who have beheaded people like Daniel Pearl. They don't think twice about that.
I don't know that that's fair, though, Congressman. I think liberal people are very angered that Daniel Pearl and other Americans have been murdered.
Oh, of course, and I'm sorry, I
Right.
didn't mean to suggest that, but they're trying to find some sort of a defense here because it seems that America is always wrong. America's always the bad guy in their scenario.
Now, you see, we thought America was right when we were on the right side of things. I still believe that America is a shining city on a hill. It's just we're not right when we torture people. So, but by Michelle Bachmann's logic, okay, then America could do anything, and since we're always right, well, we'll be right. So could we have cut off Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's head, and then we say, oh, now look at these liberals defending the terrorists by sitting here complaining about America, when all we did was try to protect you guys by cutting off the guy's head. What, you America haters? No, we love America. We want to make America better, and you don't do that by torturing people. You ruin the name of America by doing that, and that's what your guys did. Got to fight these lies every single day. Now, by the way, one other stupid anecdote from Bush's book, Decision Points. I love that he named it Decision Points, by the way. You know, because if his job had a title, it would be a decision maker. So he talks about how he used to be a drunk, a no good, stupid drunk. And now he's not drunk anymore. Anyway, one of the anecdotes he tells is when he was at a dinner party for his mom and dad, and there was an elderly, well, not even elderly, middle-aged woman sitting next to him, and he was drunk out of his mind. His wife was there. Like I said, his parents were there. Company is there. And he turns to the woman and says, so what's that like after 50? But that's so stupid. That's not even funny. That's just and that's not, look, no matter how drunk I get, I might do like weird and wild things or something, but I'm not going to say stupid things like this. Anyway. All right, so he ends the anecdote because he thinks it's really cute, that when he became governor and got past the age of 50, that guest eventually sent him a letter saying, so, dear governor, what's the answer? And when I see those interviews that he's doing with Matt Lauer and everybody else now, I think, I can't believe we had this guy for 8 years. All right. That's all the time we have for today. But post-game coming up with Anna and JR. Stick around for that if you're a Young Turks member. Young Turks.
And I'm sitting here with this blank expression.